So this morning we will continue the series, Split Decisions, and we are on our third sermon. And this morning the topic is actually not that appealing when God says you have to wait. Who would like to wait here in the church? No one? That's normal. Good work. Now, a lot of people, home buyers, most of the home buyers, they spend less than 15 minutes viewing the house before they put in an offer. And a lot of us will have spent more than 15 minutes researching where to eat out on a Friday night. How bizarre is that? Now, what does it mean is a lot of our decisions that we make is actually based on emotion, not rationale. In other words, we make life decisions using our heart and our head. Now, sometimes we probably lean more on our head. Sometimes we lean more on our heart. It depends on circumstances. If your friends are heading out for a party tonight, even though you might have a massive job interview tomorrow, you might still go regardless. Now, but there are decisions in our life that we must use our head more than our heart sometimes. For example, if you are going for surgery, you are going to weigh up what is the consequence of doing nothing against the choice of going down the path of doing the surgery. If the consequence of doing nothing doesn't outweigh the benefit of what you're getting from the surgery, you'll go down that path. So about a decade ago, my mom has to make a decision for surgery. So it was the consequence of doing nothing means you stay as it is. There's nothing will change against a slim hope of improvement if you do it. So within our family, the question was, well, is it worth doing the surgery if you're not going to get much anyway? And then at the end, my mom opted for hope. What does it mean is, well, our attitude towards life, our hope for the future, they will change the equation we apply when we make decisions. So it's not just about emotion. It's not just about a rationale, but your worldview, your thinking, your value of life, your hope for the future will change the way you make a decision that is going to work for you. Will change the way when you rate whether this is something worth taking the risk. Now, this morning we will be looking at the story of Rehoboam in the context of Chronicles. So you can find a similar story in both the book of Kings and the book of Chronicles. The main difference between the book of Kings and the book of Chronicles is Chronicles tends to give you a far better balanced view of a person in the Bible. So for example, Rehoboam, the Chronicles will say he was humbled before God and God turned away his anger. And then later on in the chapter, it would say, Rehoboam the evil in God's eyes, and he's not good. Now, when you read the book of Kings, you'll realize there's not much about his obedience, but more about his disobedience. That's how they write the book. So we will look at how Rehoboam make a decision this morning, and what does it mean to us. There are three questions I want to seek answers through the sermon this morning. The first question is, well, when Rehoboam was ready to go, why God stopped him? What was the reason why he has to wait? Why when you are 100% ready, you've got everything you need to go ahead, but God turned on the red light so you cannot go? The second question I want to find answer is, how did God send that message of wait to someone? Why God choose someone, that particular person, to send a message of wait to you? The third question I want to ask is, if waiting is coming from God directly, it's definitely from God, what does it look like if that is God who wants you to ask? What are you actually getting when you're waiting, when God asks you to wait? So these are the questions I want to find answered this morning. So this is how the story starts. When Rehoboam arrived in Jerusalem, he gathered 180,000 people ready to deploy, go to the war. The context of that story was after Solomon, his father, reigned. He passed away, and then he got the kingdom from his father. Now, in those times when Solomon was looking after the whole nation, it was a time of prosperity. Good infrastructure, massive infrastructure, a lot of wealth and money going on. Now, while the country is thriving, while the king and people who are in position, they receive the honor, people on the front line, they were suffering. They were paying for the cost when the country was thriving. So they were suffering through heavy taxes, labor work. They were building the country while those people in position receiving the honor. And here it comes, Rehoboam received advice from his advisor to say, well, you better lighten the yoke, release the burden, let the people of the country take rest. And he didn't listen. He put more on those people, more work, get them work harder. And as a result, the country split, north and south country. And Rehoboam is in Judah, the south side of the country. And he was now, all of a sudden, in the middle of crisis, which he induced himself. He made the wrong decision, and the country split. And now he's rushing to wage a war against the northern kingdom. So the question is, why the rush? Why the rush to wage the attack so urgently? So he's got a man here ready. He wants to go ahead. Now, there are two reasons, mainly. For the first year of the king, they're usually chaos. They have to start wars. They need to suppress their enemies in their neighborhood. There are rebellions. There are remnants there. They're constantly challenging the authority. They want to test your military muscles. If they can manage to buy a piece of land off you, they will do it. So in those days, the kings, they will seek the prophets to find out some advice from them, a divine advice, to find out when is the right timing to attack. If they have to wait for how long, or do they have to wait? So they usually consult the prophet to get some advice. But obviously, Rehoboam didn't consult anyone. He was so keen to attack. He waged a war, get the resources ready, but he didn't ask anyone. Now, the second reason behind is because of his foolishness. He made a decision to put more work on the people in his country. That's how he got himself into crisis. He thinks those things in the country belongs to him. He wants to wage a war to get what belongs to him in the first place. And that's exactly what he thinks. You might be thinking, well, he wants to rectify his mistake. He make an error of judgment and ungraceful decision to put more work on the people. He load them up more, and hence the country split. He's wanting to split. He's wanting to rectify his mistake. Now, if that is the case, well, that's understandable. That is honorable. Let's say if you drive a car, you crash into someone's car, you want to get the insurance sorted, will you? You want to get things sorted so they can get back on the road, you can get back on your life. It's more than just a courtesy gesture. It's a conscience that you want to right wrong things right. You want to make things right again. But that's honorable. But the chronicle, the writer of this part of the Bible, he didn't agree. What he said is he is trying to regain the kingdom for Rehoboam. In other words, in Rehoboam's head, that country belongs to him. He wants to claw something back that was originally belonging to him. He wants to get those inheritance back because he lost half of it because he made the wrong decision. Now he's in a rush to get something back. And this happens all the time. We rush because there's something we want to get back. We think that belongs to us. There is a self-serving purpose there. When you rush for something, sometimes because we are the primary beneficiary of the action, if we make it work, we will receive the benefit. And I think that's what happened with Rehoboam. And that's the reply from the Lord through Shemaiah. Go home, every one of you. Pack up. This is my doing. So what God asked him to do is, now you wait. Don't go for wars. Stop right there. And he made the reasons very clear. This is my doing. That's what God said. This is my doing. What does it mean, this is my doing? Well, there are two ways you can actually interpret that. This is my doing as if this is God's job to unite the country together. It's not your job. And God is not going to use force to bring North and South together. God is saying, well, if you do it that way, you're consuming the country. You're consuming every time, consuming all the resources. And he's saying, do it in his way. It's his job to bring unity back to the country. Now, the other way to look at it is, God is saying, this is my house rules. You don't set the timing of attack. You don't set the wait time either. Because Rehoboam didn't ask. He set himself out and wanted to start a war. He didn't ask God. But God said to him, well, hang on, this is my house rules. Now, you wonder, well, what is the house of the Lord then? Well, church is the house of the Lord. It consists of followers of Jesus. Could be teenagers, could be young adults, mature adults, families, seniors people. We are all in the house of the Lord. But your family can be the house of the Lord. It consists of children, parents, grandparents who follow Jesus. But the bottom line is, our Lord, Jesus, is the head of the house. It is his house. We are only steward. We manage the house, but we follow his guidance. We follow his lead. We have to wait if he wants us to wait. And that's what he's trying to tell Rehoboam. Well, you have to wait. Now, who did God ask to send to bring that message of wait to the people, to Rehoboam? Well, it is someone called Shemaiah. Now, we don't actually know what Shemaiah does. We don't actually know his character. All we know is he is the man of God. That's the only description of him here. So in other words, we need to ask ourselves this question. When we seek advice, when we want to make wise decisions, who is the man of God in our life? Look around in your circle, your family, your group. Who is the man of God in your life that you can seek advice? Now, what the Bible here is telling us is the man of God that you can ask for advice is someone who is close to God. Someone who has got a vertical, close relationship with God. It doesn't mean someone who has a close relationship with you, has a good horizontal relationship with people. It's talking about someone who is close to God. It doesn't have to be close to you. Now, that says a lot about how we choose our advisor. Who we can talk to get advice is actually someone who is close to God. Now, many of us will think, well, the person, if I'm going to seek advice, it's got to be someone I know well, someone I trust, someone I have good relationship with. Well, that's fair enough. That's normal. Everyone does the same. You go for someone you trust. You go for someone you think they will listen to you. In some cultures, the advisor is usually older. Sometimes gender matters. Sometimes their education background matters. In some circumstances, their position or their title may matter, who you will choose to seek advice. Now, but the Bible here is saying, well, this is not the case. The man of God is someone who has closer relationship with God, not necessarily someone you have a close relationship with. So in other words, the authenticity of the advisor, the authenticity of the advice comes from someone who knows God the best, not someone who knows you the best. And that says a lot of our choices. Because that advice will be authentic. It doesn't depend on the age, the gender, which culture the person comes from, as long as that person is close to God. Now, why? Why is that? Well, because the person who can give you wise advice, if they can give you the wise advice, it comes from God. If they're close to God, they can draw you closer to the kingdom of God. They can draw you closer relationship with God. If someone doesn't know God but know you well, chances are they will lead you to another place away from God. So in other words, that person, that man of God, doesn't have to be in your close circle, but it got to be in Jesus' circle. That man of God got to come from a Jesus community, someone who is close to God. Because they are the people who are going to give you a wise advice in the eyes of God, not in the eyes of human beings. Think about this. If you're at a crossroad, you're lost. You ask, what am I supposed to do next? And then here comes your friends turn up in your life. Your close friends come up right in front of your face, and you ask them. And they say to you, but follow your heart. Well, this is the golden advice, most enlightening advice you can ever heard. Follow your heart. But the question is, really? Are you sure? What did the Bible say? How can I know my heart is right? But the Bible never say follow your heart. It said follow Jesus. It said guard your heart. Because your heart can be deceived. Your eyes can be blind. Your voice can be distorted. So the Bible never say follow your heart, but follow Jesus and guard your heart, because there are plenty of deceiving things in the world, deceptions in the world that will draw you away from Jesus. So guard your heart. That's the advice that you are getting. Follow Jesus. Guard your heart. Now, what happened now when you come to the point, you're at a crossroad. You find your man of God. You find that man of God turn up in your life. You say, thank God you're here. You ask him or her the advice. And then all he or she said to you is, go home, pack up. And you think, I'm 100% ready. Why am I going home? I'm 100% ready to do what I'm supposed to do. I've got 180,000 of something that I can use, that I can deploy. But your man of God come and bring you the message of wait, not the message of action. Well, your world collapses, isn't it? You wonder, what? What are you talking about? I'm ready to go. Why are you asking me waiting? Rehoboam has got 180,000 men. He thought he's ready to go. But God stopped him. You're not ready, actually. God stopped him from actioning what he wants to do. The message becomes very clear. The timing of actions, the wait time you have to wait before you can do something, was never meant to your call. It was never meant to be your call. It was never meant to be you to decide, to make that call where to go in the first place. And this is what Rehoboam is getting. He didn't ask. And God came to him and said, through Shemaiah, you have to wait. It was never meant to be you to make that decision, to make that timing call. It was always God. Now think about this. For someone, for an athlete who is ready for a 100 meters run, after hours of practice, you think you're ready to go. Right? You know the moment when you take off, it will be explosive. You'll run as fast as you can. But you can't really take off until the starting gun, bang, then you can go, isn't it? Otherwise, if you take off early, you'll be disqualified. You will lose your place. You can't, even if you run through the finishing line, you're not going to be considered you have won the race because you have been disqualified. So what it means is the road from honor to shame, from excitement to disappointment, from laughter to tear could be swift and short if we don't listen to God, if we don't wait, because it was never our call to start something or decide how long is the wait. Now, if you decide to do something without asking God, like Rehoboam, we are running ahead of God. We are not running behind God. We are no longer following him. If you want to follow someone, you've got to run behind him. If you're on the road, if you don't have GPS, you want to follow someone else's car to reach a destination, you've got to follow behind. You're not going to speed and overtake the person because you're not following the person and you will get lost. The interesting thing is patience is something we call a virtue. But patience is something once everyone has it, but not yourself, isn't it? If everyone has patience, then I don't have to wait. Everyone has patience, I don't need to wait. It's a virtue, that's not me having it, but everyone else has it. The other thing is, unfortunately, a lot of people, they equate waiting as wasting. They think it's wasteful to wait. The main reason behind is people think, well, waiting is a sign of weakness. Waiting is being stationary. Waiting is in a stage of passivity. It's wasting time, it's not productive, it's agonizing to wait. But what if waiting is physically constructive, spiritually replenishing, and relationally productive? Will you wait? Will you follow the advice from the man of God and wait? And this is what happened. They obeyed the words of the Lord and turned back from marching against Jeroboam. And what happened? What did they get? There are three things they got at the end as a country for Rehoboam. He lived in Jerusalem. During that waiting time, the cities were fortified, strengthened, shields and spears all over in the city where God has pinned down the locations to strengthen the border. Now, what is interesting is we are talking about Rehoboam wants to attack the northern kingdom. All the cities that was fortified, none of them were in the northern border. They were on the east, on the west, and in the south. So what God is telling Rehoboam is when he wants to wage the war, he thinks the enemies is the northern kingdom. It wasn't. The enemies in the surrounding countries. He thought the nation is ready to go, but he didn't know his back door is wide open. And God looked at the issue and tell me, you wait. I give you some time to build your border security so you can be safe in the first place. Now, Rehoboam, he didn't make that decision out of a good intention. It was a self-serving intention. But God loves him. God still protects him physically, even though he made the wrong decision. God still protects him by fortifying the cities that are surrounding him, protect him against the real enemies. God doesn't really want him to attack his own people, to consume internally all the energy and time and resources. But God protect him because he didn't know there is a blind spot there. When they say he want to wage war against the northern kingdom out of his self-serving purposes, but God protect him. Next thing they get is spiritual nourishment. When the country split, the northern kingdom is far away from Jerusalem, where the temple is. So what happened is there is a massive spiritual decline in the northern kingdom. There are a lot of priests, Levites there. They want to seek God, but the king there doesn't lead them to seek God. So they travel down south to fill the country, to spiritually recharge the country. Because when Rehoboam wants the war, they are not ready spiritually. They don't have any backup behind if they wage a war. So God brings people from the north kingdom down to south to strengthen the kingdom of Judah, to feed them spiritually so they are more ready. Now, you know, in your mobile phone, when your battery drops below 15%, your battery saver mode kick in to save batteries, right? Likewise, in your life, if there are storms that you have to weather, you need to have your spiritual battery really charged up to take up the challenges that come your way. If your spiritual battery is constantly on a battery saver mode, you cannot sustain it. You cannot take up the wars ahead of you. You cannot take up the challenges that you're going to face. Likewise, in our life, we are so busy. There are plenty of things coming our way. We want to go. We think we are ready to go. But God stop you and wait because he wants to bring someone to your life, to your circle, to recharge you so you're spiritually ready to take on the challenge. And that's important. That's very, very important to wait for God because he has something far better than personal glory he wants to give you. So you can recharge to take up the next task that he is giving you. And I think that is very vital for anyone's survival in the world that we are living in. Now, the third thing that God has given Rehoboam is relationship, family. While his original intention wasn't that great, God still loved him and built his family. You see, within these few verses, you got a lot of marriage, a lot of children, a lot of love, a lot of provisions there. Even though it turned out originally the intention was not God wanted, God still loves him. God still built his family. Look at what they've got. You know how many years they wait? 3 years. After 3 years, look at what the family looks like. They've got 18 wives, 60 concubines, 28 sons, and 60 daughters, and abundant provisions. Such a noisy family there, isn't it? The family is growing. God still loves him, build his family. Why? Well, because they are God's people. Even though they don't make good choices sometimes, but the moment when they obey, the moment when they wait, God still build their family. Spiritually, physically, relationally. And you wonder how the story ends. This is what Chronicle is really good. But Rehoboam humbled himself before God, and God turned his anger from him. At the end, the final verdict was still, he did evil in the eyes of God. He did not set his heart on seeking the Lord. So where does it take us to then? Well, a matter of fact, no people make wise decisions all the time. No one make all the wise decisions in their life. But the fact is, the truth is, God still loves the people, even though we always live a life of mix of obedience and disobedience. We rebel against God. Sometimes we love God more. Maybe on Sunday we love him more. Monday we love less. Towards Friday we're in the party, we love even less. But that's okay. God is saying, God still loves us, even though our life could be very, very messy. But take the moment, turn to God, and wait. He will build us. He will love us. He will continue to build our family, our own life, and our physical surrounding to protect us. And I think that's the blessing that Rehoboam is getting. And it exemplifies this. In his heart, a man plans his course, but the Lord determines his steps. All the decisions we make, there is an element from God. God wants us to make certain decisions. We plan what we want to do. We gather the resources so we are ready to rock. But yet, God may have another plan for you because he sees our blind spot. He knows there's something there in us or surrounding us or in our relationship is not ready to do what we want to do. And he wants to build us. Even though at the end, after the 3 years, over the 7 years in charge, Rehoboam, he didn't follow God all the time. But God is still there with him. God still wants him. God still loves him and build his life. And I think that's a blessing. It's a blessing from God. So 3 things I want you to take home this morning. What if waiting is not wasting or wasteful? The question is, will you wait? You know, in the middle of crisis, you think, well, the best action is do something. But perhaps the strongest weapon, the best action is not to respond to the world. It's not to respond to your heart, but respond to God. But respond to God and wait. You know, with wait and obedience, we thought, well, they are not hugely productive. They can be wasteful. It's a sign of weaknesses. It's not doing much. It's showing us people our weak side. But the practice of waiting and patience, as you can see from the story of Rehoboam, could be humbly powerful. It could be spiritually recharging. And it could be relationally productive. Over that 3 years of waiting, God built him regardless. Same rules apply to us here. When God asks us to wait, he got to have something better he has prepared. There's something we want in our heart. We want to get it. Maybe we think there's something belong to us. But God said, wait. Just wait. You're not ready. And he's going to charge you up to prepare you for something far better.